Hey, everybody. Welcome to the DIY Musician Podcast. We have so much to cover today. I'm really, really excited to bring Rachel on soon here to talk about short form video. Also, stay tuned. We have some really good information about a sale that's happening at CD Baby right now, which will help your music get out there. And also, a new feature that we're also rolling out around the same time as the sale, which you can benefit from as well. So, tune in, or I guess, here we go.
You're listening
to the CD Baby
CD Baby
CD Baby
DIY
Musician Podcast.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Christina, how's it going?
It's good. We both are a little under the weather, which is great for listeners.
It's super, super good. I think your under the weatherness is maybe a little bit more obvious with your voice. Yeah, but we'll do it. We got some cool stuff to talk about today.
We really do. And first, I just wanted to ask you, how was Folk Alliance?
Oh my gosh, I can't even fully describe how amazing it was. Like, fully, it was life-changing. I got to meet so many cool artists. I got to perform. It was, 3 nonstop days of meeting people, chatting, listening to great music, staying up till 4 in the morning, chatting with people, listening, playing great music. It was just a great time. Yeah, Folk Alliance, highly endorse. Very, very cool conference.
And I heard you killed it in the presentation, which is partially why we're bringing it to this podcast. But basically, you talked about short form video, its importance, how we can be, making the most of it in 2024, right?
Yeah, for sure. And it's changed a lot, in the past 4 years.
I know.
Things really just blew up during COVID, right? So, yeah, I still think it's a viable strategy to use, and just being more organized with it and thinking about it in a more intentional way, I think is how people can be most successful with it in 2024. So we'll get into that.
Yeah, you and I have talked about this quite a bit, which is that at a certain point, I felt like I was really relevant when it came to social media and how to use it, how to best utilize it. I used to speak on panels about it. And now I really feel a little behind on it, which is why I really wanted to talk to you, because I feel like short form video in general, it's one of those things that if it was out when I was in my early 20s in my peak creativity mode, I think I would have really done a good job. I mean, Vine sort of existed back then, but it wasn't quite as big. All that to say, it seems like there's so much that people can do. It is a really great form of showcasing creativity, of engaging your audience, all of these things that are really important whenever you're trying to put yourself out there as a musician. So
For sure.
I definitely feel that thing where every few years the machine keeps moving. And so we just have to stay on top of it. So yes, we have talked about this subject before, but every year there's something new. Every year there's something different about it. And that's why you're here. Before we get into it though, we should let's get the deets out about our March sale. By the time this comes out, hopefully on Monday, March 11th. Monday, March 11th?
Yes, that's
yes. We will be having a 25% off all sale for CD Baby. Between March 11th and 17th, you can save 25% off on singles, album distribution, CD Baby Boost, and our new CD Baby Video Creator tool, which is an awesome tool that you can use from inside of your account in order to make Spotify Canvas videos and hopefully in the future more. So you just have to enter 25 off CDB. That's 25 OFFCDB at checkout to enjoy a discount on your next release and whatever video you make. So all of that will be in your shopping cart. You add that coupon and you'll get 25% off everything.
It's super cool. And I think I always like to remind people too that you don't have to have a release ready right now to take advantage of a sale. All you have to do is, say you have something that you think you might release later this year or even next year,
Right.
whenever. Just enter all your stuff in,
Stockpile.
placeholder information, and still check out with the coupon code. And then when the time comes to use that release, then upload the audio, get your cover art on there, everything. And then you can still get that sale price.
Totally. And same with Boost. I mean, I know that a lot of times our instinct is just grab the cheapest, quickest thing, and that's usually my instinct when I'm releasing a single and an album, and I'm like, "Oh, I'll upgrade this later, or I'll figure out how to sign my things up later." The cool thing about Boost is it does already register you with the MLC, with Sound Exchange. It puts you in our sync library for sync pitches. All of those things are really valuable. And so if you go ahead and just use this coupon now, you'll save 25% off. So, wow.
Wow.
We did it. We said all those things. But the whole reason that we are even having this episode is because we are unrolling the CDB video creator tool. It is an aspect of short form content. So one of the things that we wanted to talk about was Spotify Canvas. It is a tool that has been out there for a long time. It's a tool that you have had available for a long time, but not everybody knows how to use it or to use it. Honestly, I don't even know if my iOS or my Spotify app is updated enough to use Spotify Canvas because I don't always see it. I'm sure it is because I do see the lyrics pop up, so it's just one of those things, but
For sure, but not everybody, uploads a canvas in the first place. So some releases have them, some don't. Why you might want to have it, though, is that statistically, having a canvas is going to increase your track shares by 145%, is
that's
what
nuts.
folks say, which is insane. And I think that's especially apparent when you see someone who's added a song to their story just directly from Spotify, and then you've got that looping video in the background. It looks really cool. You've got the album art still there too. Yeah, and it's just another way to kind of visually communicate a
Mhm.
vibe. And so I think why not create a canvas and add it to your
Yes.
track?
Some of those stats, we also are releasing a blog article about this, DIYmusician.cdbaby.com, for the DIY Musician blog. But some of those stats of the benefits, we're just going to bullet point them. Increased track shares by 145%. That's bananas. Playlist ads boosted by 20%. You can get up to 5% increase in streams, 9% rise in profile visits. So these are just those are the nitty-gritty data stats. But on top of that, I mean, it shows that you're thinking about your release in a well-rounded way and that you're not just like half-assing it. So I at this point, whenever I have a single, will absolutely add a video, whether that's a clip from the music video to that single or it's I make something dedicated for that. I think it is important to have because I do think that we are in a visual world now. We have to be thinking about things in that way, and it shows that you give a crap.
Hmm.
Um, Also, it's there, so why not use it? Is sort of
For sure.
it's on Spotify, so use all of it. It's in the same vein that it's important for you to make sure that you verify your artist page on Spotify and other platforms. You also need to be able to do that in order to upload to Spotify for Artists to get your Canvas video up there.
Right.
So because of that, we have the CDB video creator tool. Basically, it's an integration now that's on our site that you can upload or choose from a library of videos in order to create your Spotify Canvas video. And so it's just an easy thing that you can do from your account. It's convenient. You're in there, you're already uploading the single. Why not just go ahead and make that video, download it, and then upload it onto Spotify Canvas? It's a really, really easy thing to do. I went in there and made it myself and saw if I didn't have visuals, like how easy it is to find visuals. So I found a single that I had released back in August that was very much driving themed. It was about it was called Still in the Race, and I wanted it to be like this song about moving forward and being on the road. Fortunately, I had made video visuals for that, but had I not, so I went into the creator tool, I searched car along the beach, and I found like hundreds, thousands of videos to use, all of which are royalty free. Um, Synced it with my song, added visual effects, trimmed it to make sure that the loop was seamless. So easy to use. I mean, and these are like 8-second videos. So,
Right. Yeah, and I think what's really cool too about the video creator tool, not only do you have this huge library of royalty-free footage to use, but if you're not wanting to have to think too hard about, okay, what's the aspect ratio of this video have to be? How long does it have to be? The video creator tool just makes that all so much easier, really, really fast. And then you can add like cool background effects and visuals to it, like light edits to make it even more kind of fit the vibe of your track and loop the way that you want it to. So it's really just everything that you need right in one.
There were some cool effects in there too. I mean, I'm usually pretty critical of these things because, like with everything in life, but they weren't dumb effects. They were pretty cool. So do it. Why not?
Do it.
That's
And then
that's
remember too that you have to download, of course, and then go upload to your Spotify for Artists. Like we can't just distribute the video straight there. You have to go through Spotify for Artists to do it.
Yeah. I know it's really mouthy. There's a mouthful for us to describe it verbally. But that being said, there is an article on the DIY Musician blog about it with all the instructions that you need to figure out how to make a video and how to verify on Spotify if you haven't already, and then how to upload it. Yeah, I hope that more platforms adopt these features because I think that is a benefit to Spotify right now. And there are definitely other platforms out there that are doing great things, but we need more visuals.
For sure.
For sure. So you wanted to talk to us a little bit about why short form video in general has been a really relevant and important thing when it comes to sharing your music.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot to talk about with this, so I'll try to keep it brief-ish. But of course, we talked a bit about kind of where short form was in like 2020 and that kind of time of
Mhm.
things. Everybody's moving on to TikTok and spending so much time there and making videos and watching them. Um, I still think that even though we're kind of past that golden age of TikTok or whatever, the fact that so many other social platforms have really just taken on this video first kind of format,
Mhm.
Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube
YouTube.
Shorts, they're all just really, really pushing short form video.
Mhm.
And the proof's in the pudding too. I was at another conference in San Diego, Social Media Marketing World, and at that conference, I learned that 75% of US adults spend at least 2 hours or more watching short form video
Yeah,
every single day.
that's not
It's insane.
healthy.
It's
That's not
not. I
healthy.
agree. Really not healthy.
I went to a
Um,
Gen Z conference recently because I'm not Gen Z, and they were like, "You need to be able to relate," and there was a point of pride about, like, 8 to 9 hours of screen time a day, which I
that's
thought was bananas and not okay. I think that at my worst, it's, like, 3, and that always makes me feel like a bad person. But that
I
doesn't
start
mean
to
yeah, I'm not shaming you for being on your
yeah,
phone. I mean, I am,
yeah,
but
kind of, yeah.
balance it out. Balance it out. If you're spending all that time on your phone, are you making music? That's my condescension for you
Was
for the
gonna
day.
say, like, if you're creative, right, like, ideally, yes, you're still, like, getting inspiration from different places, keeping up with what's going on in the world, but, like, you should be trying to spend more time actually creating stuff
Yeah,
than just only consuming it, right? So we'll
that's
talk
my
about that
wellness
too, like the
disclaimer.
balance thing.
Wellness disclaimer before we
Yes.
go into short form video. Okay.
Yes.
Um, I did wanna say there's a note here that says, "Why am I qualified to talk about this?" And I think you're very qualified to talk about this for obvious reasons, but,
Yeah.
why are you qualified to talk about this?
Oh, well, I've been a social media and marketing professional for coming up on a decade now. I have
Yes.
experience, working in public radio, for advertising agencies, doing stuff for quite big brands, making content, ideating content. Um, and then now I've had this job at City Baby for coming up on 2 years now. I feel like it's like such a
Yeah.
nice merging of my like marketing skills and also being a DIY musician and caring
Yes.
about this kind of stuff. And I also
Sure.
just spend an egregious amount of time on my phone. Like my
Yeah,
bad
what
days
it's
are like
worth.
six hours a day. It's really bad when I look at it.
Rachel.
That's the bad days
That's your
though.
job, but
Bad
it's your job
days.
also.
Yes,
So,
true.
like, you are on your phone for your job, and there is
Yes.
that. I remember when I was doing social, I was on Twitter so much that I mean,
Mhm.
thank God that's dead and gone and buried, but at the time, I was on it so much that it made my soul hurt.
Mhm.
I felt heavy. Okay, I will stop
It'll
talking
do
about why
that.
you need to get off the phone. Okay. Yeah. So yes, so much has changed. I can't even remember what our short form video was in 2020, other than, I mean, we started using TikTok around then, right? That's when it really blew up, was in the pandemic.
Yeah.
And previous to that, we were really on Instagram stories, not really reels hadn't popped up yet. But anyway, it's happening. So why is
Mhm.
it working for musicians? Why is it the thing that we need to be focusing on?
Well, I think if you're making social media a part of your music marketing strategy, um, you can't only be making like posts to your regular feed and to your stories because those most of the time are only going to be reaching the people who already follow you.
Mhm.
So when you're using short form video, you're then helping, well, taking advantage of the algorithm to reach people who don't already follow you, but because of how the algorithm works, there's a pretty good chance that when it hits, you're going to be reaching people who are more likely to like your
Mhm.
content, like your music, like what you're making. So yeah, algorithms suck. I will say
Mhm.
that, but
They
when
do.
they work, they work really well. Um, and then also just the fact that, social media numbers, follower numbers, engagement numbers, uh, again, even though I wish that this wasn't the case. I wish it was only on music merit only, but sometimes those numbers do matter when it comes to
Mhm.
booking shows, booking festivals,
I
getting
know.
playlisted, other opportunities. So having a good short form video strategy can help if your numbers are like, oh, this is not doing so well, like that can be a way to kind of boost those up a bit.
Everybody here knows I'm very much Rage Against the Machine when it comes to that stuff, especially
Mhm.
when it comes to this idea that as an artist, you have to hustle on your TikTok or whatever in order to book shows or in order to get signed. And I have heard some really awful stories about artists that have been working for 10 plus years that, like, have the fan base IRL, but they, like, the major label or whoever that was going to sign them says, "Well, we need you to boost your TikTok followers by X amount."
Uh,
And that sort of thing is so barfy, and it is so discouraging. I don't think that that's the way that we should be approaching these things, but I
no,
do think that there's merit there, and again, like, I'm a boomer about it because I try not to go on TikTok very often. But I do think that if you're trying to build a fan base outside of the people that you already know, outside of the people that you already follow, that is the best tool for it currently,
mhm,
as well as shorts, as well as those other things. As currently in the virtual realm,
yeah,
yes, there's touring. Yes, there's playing shows. Yes, there's the old fashioned networking. All of that very, very important. I'm going to say more important, but there is, like, so many artists that are blowing up or that are gaining recognition in their living rooms, in their bedrooms. Maybe they don't have the mobility where they can go play a show easily. Maybe they don't have the access to touring, or there isn't a huge network in their local town. And so these are amazing opportunities for you.
for sure.
Um, what would you say are, like, the most sort of successful videos to make?
Yeah, I have these sorted into three categories. The first one is performance videos. Now, I would say that I think that these should be like the bread and butter of discovery and if you're going to be taking this kind of strategy seriously, I think that this should be the majority of what you're making. Um, and I had some examples at Focal Alliance, some really cool ones, but these aren't hard to find just going on, any short form platform to see how people are making performance videos. But oftentimes it is like in their bedroom, or it's some extra footage that was captured in the studio, or it was like a fan video or a friend that got a really cool moment at your live show. If you
Mhm.
can make these performance moments like short, snappy, catching of attention, um, those are the kind of things that work really well as performance videos. Uh, but also, like, I've seen so many, like, folk artists in particular. That was kind of where my mind was with this, with Folk Alliance, but folks just sitting with a guitar,
Mhm.
singing, performing, like, a verse and a chorus with the lyrics coming up on screen in real time. I've seen so many videos like that just blow
Mhm.
up for whatever reason. Maybe because 'cause they're simple and the person is just super, super talented. I don't know, but if you've got your music figured out, why not just showcase it in this way that's like really repeatable, and it catches people's attention.
I like the lyric idea. We don't really get to share lyrics as much as we used to. Well, I was gonna say we didn't, but then I realized we have all these opportunities too. Like, you can
Yeah,
go and watch the lyrics in real time when you're listening to the song. You can put the lyrics in the copy of the video. You could put the lyrics in on your website, whatever. Um, I used to sit with like my CD and read the lyrics to like
yeah.
my favorite song along with it. So this is basically the same thing. And I love that.
Mhm.
That's a really cool way of doing that. What are the other videos that you would say are like the poppin' ones?
Sure. Release showcase videos or what I call release showcase videos. Um, these really have this like format has really cropped up, especially on TikTok and like mainly from Gen Z I've seen, but now other folks are kind of copying this format. But uh, there's a lot of different ways that you can do these, but like the through line of a release showcase video is that your music is playing in the video in some way. So that's step one. Whatever your TikTok clip is or your Reels clip is playing. The second step is some kind of visual aspect going on. It can be as simple as you like sitting in a chair sipping coffee or like maybe
Oh,
lip
like makeup
syncing along.
tutorials and that sort of thing?
Um, Shorter than that though, because 'cause you're not even really, like the music is really the forefront of what you're
Right.
doing, so you're not
As it
even, like, talking or yeah.
So it's just like
I
you
think I know what you're
eating
saying.
avocado toast while your song plays.
Folding laundry, going for a walk, like, whatever it is.
The fact that, like, folding laundry is a thing, like, the fact that people will put on videos to have these parasocial relationships where they're like, "Wash your dishes with me." It's insane, but it
Yeah.
really does work, and I have gotten into it now where if I have to, like, clean the kitchen, I need something playing, and I heard that this was a thing, and I'd never heard of this before, and I find it to be so bizarre, but I tried it out, and it really did work. It like, there's something about someone else getting the task done faster than you, you're like, "I gotta finish."
And there is one more element to, these types of videos. You've got, yes, your music, you've got some visual element going on,
Whatever it is.
and then more often than not, you've got a big block of text, like, in the middle, of the video that gives some sort of context for why the song is good. Like, the visual, like, honestly doesn't even matter, hardly at
Mhm.
all, but it's the hookiness of this text and one of the examples I talked about at Vocal Alliance was literally a guy folding laundry, but he was showcasing his, ambient track, and he was saying, uh, "Ambient heads will literally put this, track on, smoke a little, and start folding their laundry and pretend that their life is a movie," and it was his song, like, in the background. It
Love
it
it.
did so, so well, and so it's finding ways to say, "Here's the song, here's the
Mhm.
context, here's why you might wanna listen to more of it."
I really like, in general, whether it's through video or not, when marketing something, I feel a good trick is always to define its utility.
Mhm.
So, for example, like what you just said about ambient music, saying, "You could fold your laundry to this, you could smoke weed to this, you could do yoga to this, you could take a bath to this." So, like, sort of defining what the utility is, whether you narrow in on one thing. I had an album that was just about it was called For Bathing, right? It was just about taking baths, but the utility did go beyond that, but I just really honed in on that. But I really
Mhm.
like when you're in this case where you can say, "I made this song so that you can go chill the frick out," or "I
Yeah.
made this song so that you can go, lay in the grass and count clouds," or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, defining the utility is a good way to sort of hone in on a marketing strategy, finding that specific audience, saying, "Hey, are you a rollerblader? This song's for you." You know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So that's really showcase videos. Again, they can take just so many different forms, but following that general strategy of having those elements, can work really well, and they can be so short. They can be like 10 seconds
Yeah,
long, easy peasy.
cool.
And then the final type of video that is a sometimes less directly music related, but is still, about you, is quite literally videos about you, mini vlogs, you just like getting in front of a camera and giving your audience a peek into not just who you are as an artist, but who you are as a person. Uh, Again, the parasocial relationship thing can work really, really well on social. I don't think that everyone should make these types of videos too. I want to clarify. I don't think that it always works for every person. It's just a type of video that I have seen work in context.
Who are the people that shouldn't be making it?
People who would look really uncomfortable on camera or
I love
uh
those though. Those are like my favorite talks are the weird talks. The people that like clearly don't know how to use technology, making TikTok videos about this is the dirty ones. The ones that are like, I'm 67 years old. You need to come over to my house. I love those videos.
what are you watching? I have never seen
Oh,
anything like that
I
before.
I think I might be on like a whole other TikTok journey
We are different
based on
people.
there are like some comedians I follow that specifically showcase those videos, but like the people that are the degenerates. I like degenerate talk, but
Awesome.
yeah. So what sort of things would I say in a video like that?
Well, like I like to compare it to, say you've got your website and some people like to have like a blog as part of their website, giving updates on tour or updates about the process for working on their music or just things going on in their life. Like starting from that as a framework, saying, today I went to the grocery store and I got this like cool chicken bun and it's really good. And I just wanted to show it to you. Like it's literally the most random stuff. The person that I gave the example of, her name is Algie Powers. And I've talked about her on the podcast before. But she's this folk musician who also just sprinkles performance videos along with these little 10-second videos that people just find so endearing. So that's why I say like it's not a strategy for everyone. You
Mhm.
can focus just on the music if you want to, but these can
It's also not a
solidify
stretch.
things.
Like, these
No.
aren't things that you're not already maybe sharing on social media in other forms. As long as social media has been alive, we've been sharing our lunch, right? Pictures
Yeah.
of our lunch. We've been sharing um, endorsements for things that we're not even
Mhm.
getting paid to sponsor. So as long as the internet has been alive, we've been sort of sharing the weirdest sort of corners of our lives, very personally, very intimate. So basically, you're just saying convert those same ideas, but into a little video, and it'll get more engagement.
Yeah, and let people know more about you as a person than just an artist, if you want.
And then how do you make them actually look good? Because I could do this right now and like record it on my phone and share it, but it won't look good.
And I will say that it doesn't have to look good, but this next big section is the biggest one because there's a lot to like kind of discuss with actually making short form
Yeah.
videos. And so I split these up into like three tiers: basic, elevated, and advanced. But all that with the caveat that you don't have to use fancy equipment to make videos that work. It's just like I think for me that stuff is really interesting. And if you're a nerd like me and you're like, I want to make this look as good and sound as good as it possibly can, then this more advanced kind of stuff is for you. But the basic level is of course just using your phone. Most newer phones have a really good camera on them and an okay microphone. Uh, you can also just shoot your video directly from TikTok, Instagram Reels, whatever app that you're posting to, um, and not even have to use any like external software, anything like that. But I will say that you should be liberal with the trim tool when you're editing. So figuring out, okay, I've recorded this thing, this performance, this chat, whatever. Where is the spot that I want the exact millisecond that I want it to start, and where do I want it to stop? Because you only have so much time to
Mhm.
grab people's attention, and you also don't want your video to be super, super long because the algorithm rewards total watch time or like percent completed of a video. So if you're having stuff trail off into oblivion, that percentage is going to go down. So
So no, like, 30-second videos. Basically, we're talking 8 seconds or less.
Not necessarily. So if you can be really engaging for 30 seconds, yes. If you're finding that it something kind of drops off with the interest,
Mhm.
before 30 seconds, then trim to be less. But uh, it's it's a tough thing to say like absolutely for sure make it less than 15 seconds or whatever because now all the platforms are trying to push for longer videos, right? So it's
Right.
whatever I think whatever you can fit into. If you can make super engaging 2-minute long videos, do it. If you want to focus to something smaller, do it.
Okay, I have a quick question when you
Yeah.
talk about the trim it tool, but also editing. I think one of the things that's always like the biggest barrier for entry for me is thinking about now editing it.
Mhm.
Um, I know that like a few years ago, the big thing was lots of choppy little edits. So we
Mhm.
talk for a minute, but I'm gonna chop like really, really cut it down, make the dialogue really fast. But that has already shifted. That's already changed. How do you sort of approach editing when it's a verbal video? Like how much do you recommend you or do people like more just like a good 10-second unfiltered, unedited, straight from the cuff? You know what I mean?
It's tough to give like a definitive recommendation there because I think it depends on who you are as a person. Like, do you have extra time to go in and cut out all the dead space in your video? I'm someone
Mhm,
who tend to do that personally. I still have tons of videos come up for me that are that like super quick, choppy kind of stuff. But like Algae Powers, for example, never does that, and she's still
mhm,
a really big following. So I think it's doing maybe like a self-assessment and deciding,
mhm,
can I do I have to do this? Do I want to
mhm.
be really choppy and edity with stuff? If you don't, then make the actual thing that you're saying or doing or performing as engaging as possible so that you don't need all that extra stuff to make it engaging.
And see what you gravitate towards, because
Yeah.
if you're your best sort of marketing data. If the audience that you're searching for is similar to you as an artist, I think that finding out what it is that you gravitate towards as a consumer is a good way to get started. So, if you gravitate towards someone like Algae Powers, who has like this very natural visual, that could be something that you try to emulate in your own way. Don't try to copy it, but emulate it. If you are really gravitating towards dance videos, then make a dance video. You know.
Mhm. Yeah, I think short form at the very, very core is figuring out what are you good at? What about your artistry or yourself is showcaseable and figuring out the best way to showcase that thing,
Mhm.
not trying to like make content fit into a specific something for whatever
Right.
reason. It's a self-assessment.
So that's the basic video, and then there's elevated, which
Yeah,
is let's take it up a notch.
yes. So taking it up a notch, I would say still use your phone for these kinds of videos as the video recording tool. But just because I think phones so often nowadays, like especially for music, if we're trying to make good sounding music, your phone isn't necessarily going to be the best tool for that. There's so many
Mhm.
better external microphones that you can use. So I also think that it's a good idea to use the back camera on your phone, so not the selfie camera. Using the one that's on the other side of the screen is usually on most phones gonna have better video quality. Um, and then setting that to record in the highest possible quality, 4K, 60 frames per second, that's just gonna make it look
How
better
do
in
you
general.
how do you monitor it if it's on your back camera?
You set it up. Okay, so yeah, this is a good question. So setting it up with a tripod or something that you are setting it back on, setting your chair or whatever you're gonna be sitting in or sitting on in front, and then checking on the other side. Okay, my frame looks good. Hit record. Stand in front of it,
I guess you
and
could put
then
a
record
mirror
that
on the
way.
other side too if you're
That's
like,
the yes,
okay.
absolutely, and there's, like, screen monitoring things, like, you can plug your phone into a laptop and get, like, a screen mirroring, program as well. I think an
Wow.
actual mirror is an easier way to do it, though, for sure.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Great question, I like that. Um, and then for microphones, so you can use if you're, like, shooting from far away, say, like, a performance video and you're, like, outside and you wanna get, like, big trees in the background or something, A second phone can actually be a good option if it's
Mm,
closer to you. So recording like a voice memo while the other camera is recording the video and then syncing those up afterward. That's an option. Zoom recorders are really good for getting better audio. Um,
always.
the Audigo is a cool new product that I found that is a Bluetooth microphone that syncs with your phone while it's recording the video. And it also has an app where you can like add reverb and do EQ and stuff in real time. So it's just like a faster way. I think those are super, super cool. And then like any cardioid condenser microphone for performances is going to sound really nice. But anything that you're using with an XLR, you'll want to use some kind of interface. And there are ones that connect directly to your phone. The iRig Pre 2 is
Mm.
one of those. And so again, that just gets your audio and video synced up without having to do that post.
What about those little, like, lapel mic Bluetooth lapel mic situations,
I think those sound really good for talking,
but
but
not for playing?
if you're performing with an instrument, is probably not the best one to use, I don't
Yeah,
think.
that makes sense, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about playing in a field, and I'm thinking, "How would I mic the guitar?" You know?
Yeah, like, probably a cardioid condenser, something, like, on a mic stand, like, in front of you that you can get the guitar and the voice at the same time or whatever instruments are going on. So then when it comes to editing, we're still on just, like, the elevated part, of these, but, CapCut is the one to use. That's TikTok's external editing software. It has a great app for your phone, but I personally use the desktop version of it all the time, literally every day when I'm doing stuff for various projects that I'm working on. You can use that to do the trimming that we were talking about, cutting out sections that you don't want. You can also use it to sync up audio and video together in that post production if you're using two different devices. You can put those together
Okay,
with CapCut.
lyrics and video, my brain don't understand how that works.
Like
Like,
getting your the text
syncing it.
onto the screen.
Well, and, like, syncing it to like, it just none
Yeah.
of it makes sense to me, maybe just because I haven't tried it, but you're saying CapCut is a good sort of way to do that.
Yep. So CapCut has something called auto captions, to where it just analyzes your audio, and it's pretty good at picking up lyrics that are sung in English with not a ton of post processing on, like tons of auto tune or like weird effects and stuff like that. So you can use auto captions if for whatever reason they're not picking up your text, you're speaking, singing very well, you can like literally hit the button, add text and manually put it in and then set the duration for everything. It
And then
it takes
edit.
some time, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but I think it's worth it. And once you try it out, you just get faster at it. So
And some of these just, like, auto-generate the text based off of what they think you're saying, and then you have to go in and edit and say, "No, I wasn't saying tomato, I was saying potato."
correct, yes,
Right.
yes, yeah, good
Potato, always a
question.
good example for lyrics. Can you think of any famous songs that have used the word potato? Hot
No.
potato anyway.
uh,
Okay, and the fact that that's just elevated and that there's this whole other tier of things to use, I mean, I guess the next thing would be, like, not using your phone, right? And using, like, a fancy, fancy camera, fancy microphone.
Yeah, or even, like, not necessarily the fanciest of the stuff, because I think if you're spending thousands of dollars on a camera, you're doing more than making social media videos. For advanced videos, yes, use some other camera that is not your phone. I use a Canon G7X Mark III. Those got really big on TikTok a couple of years ago because 'cause they're a nice digital camera, but they also just shoot really good video. A Canon EOS R100. Again, that's a little bit on the pricier side, but a little bit cheaper. Sony ZV-1F as another option. Uh, and then using, a nicer microphone. Any of the ones I mentioned previously would be good microphones for this too. I think that advanced really mainly is talking about the editing
Mhm,
and like you know, having someone mix your audio or like
mhm,
master your audio for your
mhm.
social videos. Like, again, not necessary. But if you want it to sound and look incredible, use like the nicest mic you can get your hands on and go experiment and you know, mix it up.
Listen, I get it. I know that whenever there's a release, I make a bunch of content and a bunch of videos and I hire a professional to do it. So why not do that for the rest of it? Like it's sort of when you put all this effort into just promoting one thing, but then you're not using that same effort to promote everything else and to keep the momentum going, you can see the difference. And if you're really trying to make like a splash on these platforms, building sort of a consistent look and feel and consistent level of professionality to it will make the difference.
Yeah, it can just make it stand out even more, and again, shows that you give a shit, right?
Yeah.
Um, but also all to say, not 100% necessary. Uh,
Yeah, you can give a
yeah,
shit without doing any of these things,
correct.
but it doesn't mean this shows that you give a shit about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my 3 kinda tiers of different types of social videos you can make based on difficulty and
I think that's really
giving a shit.
helpful. I think
Yeah,
it's really helpful. Also, I think that we should probably just link to all of those things in the bio. So, in the bio of this video, you will see, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see links to all of those products because I think that that's why not? Let's help people find those things faster.
for sure, and of course, we're not sponsored by any of these brands, but
We're not, no,
they make good stuff.
and we don't endorse all of them. So if they
No.
break, don't call me. Don't DM me and say,
Please don't.
"Rachel recommended this camera and it's broken." We didn't invent it.
Reach out to their customer support, please.
Yeah, exactly. Um, okay, and then you wanted to talk about, like, tips and strategies. How do we make this as easy as possible so it's not something I'm thinking about every single day?
Yes. So, one strategy that I have is batch recording. I think this works especially well for performance videos and these release showcase videos because,
Mm,
especially on TikTok, you can take the same clip from your song and make like 15 videos or variations of the same video for a release showcase and then just post those over like 3 weeks. And
yes.
it's not gonna be as annoying as it would be on, like, Instagram or somewhere else. The stakes are a lot lower, I would say. So batch record, take, like, a Sunday afternoon that you have and just, like, create as many ideas that you have in your head.
Mhm.
Or if you're making performance videos and you found like a really cool nature location outside or something, don't just record one song or one cover. Make like 5,
Yeah.
take some time to get the most out of the whole setup that you've done uh, for this and just batch record.
And
So,
this goes with
yeah,
all content as well, all of it.
totally.
Photo shoots, videos, um, whatever it is that you're making that you're gonna be using to promote. And once again, I do think it's important to note that we should always be making music the forefront of this, so
Totally.
don't just do this just to showcase your avocado toast, make sure you're actually pointing back to the music, um, but to have a rollout plan that like, I've seen so many artists that will do a photo shoot and it's really, really cool, and then they will just dump all of those photos on day 1, and then they've now
Mhm.
don't have anything to share for,
It's such a
a
shame when
year.
that happens. I'm like, why did you give us everything at once? Like get the most out of it. Take the time.
Not just that, people are not gonna appreciate all of those.
Yeah.
You may think, "Oh my gosh, how do I choose? These are all amazing. My photographer's awesome. I look so cool. I love all of these pictures or all of these videos." But no one's gonna appreciate it like you, first of all. Not
Mhm.
everybody loves you as much as you do. But also, um, you know, if you're sharing, if you give somebody 100 cookies, they're only gonna really remember the one. So, parse out those cookies over time.
Yes. Yes, and that leads into also making some kind of publishing schedule
Yes.
for yourself.
Always,
So,
always.
so, so important. Um, I've heard so much bad social advice also to go along with this, like that you have to post every day. You
Mm-mm.
absolutely don't have to post every day, and I
No.
don't think that you probably should, honestly.
Yeah.
Because if you can do like 2, 3 times a week for short form in particular, that's enough to trigger these algorithms and start, showing your stuff to the right people. So figure out, okay, for the next month maybe or the next 2 months, I'm gonna do 3 posts a week and then see
Mhm.
how that went. Don't just say, okay, I have to post 5 times a week, every single week until the end of time, because you're just going to burn out. That's just a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about this with the release strategy, like a pre-release strategy always, right? So give yourself a month before the release to really start trickling in the information about it. How do you parse out information every few days in a way that's engaging? So I always recommend creating an actual calendar, and you've talked about this too, that says, okay, from March 7th to April 7th, my release date's on April 8th. How are we going to promote this? But I think that creating something like that consistently for after is so important too, because a
Mhm.
lot of us just tend to do the pre-release promo and then the album, the single, whatever comes out, and then we're just stuck thinking, okay, now what? And then you get overwhelmed and you just did all that work. So doing the work in advance and saying, okay, so for the next few months, what can I be doing to sort of keep pointing back to this thing, keep finding new ways for people to engage with it, keep finding new things that I can sort of drop about it. What was the making of it like? Um what's something about the lyrics I've never told anyone? Creating like little moments, little breadcrumbs for the future for people to keep coming back and keep driving traffic to or discovering it. Cuz also, I don't know about you, but sometimes I notice like if I release a song, like half of the people I know didn't even know I did it. And then I stopped
Mhm.
promoting it, and then I'm not creating any source of traffic for people that have never met me to find this thing, right? And so it's just out there in the ether. So you sort of have to keep creating these opportunities for growth.
Yeah, totally. Keep feeding them back
Yeah.
into your world, into your universe. Um, and with that too, if you're making a schedule and you say, okay, I already have all this stuff ready to go, again, don't just post it all at once. Use some kind of scheduling tool. You can either use like an app like Later or Hootsuite, um, or you can also now. I think every app has within the app or on TikTok, you have to do it on desktop. But there's tools that you can schedule the posting ahead of time.
That's
So
my
again,
favorite.
taking an afternoon, getting all
Mhm.
the stuff uploaded, getting all the captions written, getting it in there, and then you can just go say, "Great, my stuff's going to be going out for the next 2 weeks or a month, and I don't have to be sitting on my phone all the time,
Right.
getting it out there."
Yeah, I think if you holistically look at it like a job, it is a job.
Mhm.
First of all, you're supposed to put in X amount of hours in order to be successful in anything. So, um, you don't just do 1 hour of work a week for your job, right? So, scheduling out time for yourself might be a good way to do this, saying, "Sundays, that's the day that I'm the least distracted, I have extra energy to think, I have extra energy to create." Maybe you have one day that's your creativity development day, another day that's your production day, and then another day that's all the detail work. So that way you can sort of break up your brain into those separate buckets. And then there's also having to be an artist on top of all of that. So
Mhm.
finding it doesn't have to be in a whole 8-hour day, but just saying, okay, for 2 hours on Monday, I have to schedule out my week when it comes to what I'm how am I scheduling this out? On 2 hours on Wednesday, I'm gonna start planning the production, that sort of thing. Is that a good way to go about it?
I think so, and I think some people may say, "My brain doesn't work that way,"
Mhm.
um, which
I
fair.
mean, mine doesn't really either, I just like to pretend it does.
Right, it's just cosplay, right? It's just
Yeah.
it's just messing around or,
Sometimes
like,
you have to
faking it till you
force
make
yourself
it.
into thinking that that's who you
Yeah.
are.
Mhm.
I've said this before, I have a trainer, Stasia Powell, always says, "You don't have to like it, you just have to do it," whenever it comes to
Mhm.
working out. Like, she always says, "Working out sucks. I don't Nobody enjoys doing this, but you just have to do it even if you don't like it." I like to apply that to all of this stuff. So,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to music, not music, but the business part of music, doing
Yeah.
all of this stuff that really can just, like, weigh you down. Because I find that it actually only takes a minute to sign your song up on ASCAP, but it takes, like, 6 months to get your brain to go and to the website and actually fill out that form, you know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
there's all these things that, like, we consistently put off because we're just, like, so overwhelmed by the task. Um, that we don't even wanna, like, think about it.
Right.
And so I like to just fake it sometimes and say, "I am the person that will sit down on Monday morning and schedule it and put it in my planner. That's what I'm doing from 10 a.m. to 12." And I might hate it the whole way, but I gotta do it.
Gotta get it done. And then when you start to see the results as a result of your work, then it's like, okay, this is where it starts to get gratifying and make
Mhm.
sense and feel a little bit better, I guess. Like, oh yeah, I did this hard work and here's the results, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you can make one video and use it on multiple platforms. Like, you're not
Yes.
relegated to you just made a TikTok video. Like, please put this out on as many places as you can,
Mhm.
based on whatever their sort of algorithm or up right? Like, their limits,
Yeah.
their
So
trends.
yeah, I mean, there's also bad advice out there from social media gurus, and I don't blame people for thinking this is true necessarily because like it does make sense that it might be true, but it is not true that you have to edit your video within Instagram to make it perform well on Instagram.
I never
Uh,
heard that.
yeah, maybe because I mean, I'm in, like, social media manager world all the time, but that's, like, one of the tips that I hear is, like, you have to add text that is directly native from Instagram for it to get picked up by the algorithm, and it's just not true. It's just not true at all.
I mean, I
Um,
wouldn't doubt Meta would put something like that in its algorithm, but
it's just and I know that it's not true because I have seen this time and time again with stuff that I've posted. I edited something in CapCut, I posted it to TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and YouTube Shorts, and the performance was relatively the same,
Mhm.
across the different platforms. The one thing, though, about YouTube is it has to be, um, under a minute long still, unfortunately, but the other platforms, it doesn't. So, uh yeah, you don't need that native text, you don't need to make your stuff directly in the apps for them to perform well on that app.
And last but not least, one of my favorite things is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you had something that really performed well even 10 years ago, you can recycle old content. You can either
Mhm.
reshare it. Again, like something that you made even 6 months ago may have gone unnoticed by a very large number of people, or there's an entire new audience for it. And I've seen so many artists sort of re-blow up 20 years later
Yeah.
because of platforms like this.
Yeah, and I've had times where, um, either for myself or for someone else that I was working with, where they made a video, like, a year ago, and for whatever reason, it just, like, didn't perform, you know, whatever. We reposted it again a year later, and it got 1,000,000 views. Now, that's not gonna happen every single time, right? But it's worth a try because you already have the content,
Yeah, that's
right
wild.
there. Just give it a shot, you know?
That's very cool. Well, thank you for all of this. I
Thank you,
think that
Christina.
you helped my brain realize how it's not as challenging as I think I build it up to be. Um, we all have our reasons why we're, you know, why we take a step back from certain platforms at certain times. But I think that in particular, it is a really important tool to reach a new audience. So you absolutely should be embracing it.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's at least worth a try. You know, even if you don't have a whole campaign or whatever that you're working on promoting, like try posting 3 videos in a week and just see how it goes. Just like force yourself to do it. And then at the very least, you're getting better at creation and editing and improving your skills in some way.
Make cool videos, not like I just did. Um,
Try
check
new
out
things.
check out the CDB video creator tool. Let us know what you think. Please send us an email, podcast@cdbabypodcast.com. Tell us your experience with it. And yeah, um, March 11th through March 17th, sales. All right. I hope you have a great rest of your week.
You too, Christina.
All right. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.